That's right. It's time for another Commanders game. Commanders return home after losing 2 in a row. They look to get back to their winning ways. We got the preview, predictions, keys, and position groups to watch, and the injury report. The Commanders post or pregame show and preview right here on the Flex Zone podcast. Only place giving you sports how you want it, when you need it. Happy Friday Eve. Happy football weekend has officially started as Thursday Night Football officially kicks off your NFL football weekends. And we're back with another live Washington Commanders preview for the games week. Not much needs to be said. It's Cowboys week. Dallas invades D.C., Landover, the surrounding counties of Maryland. Crevonte, you know all about that. But back with my brother, the co-host of this shindig here, the Commanderlorain himself, sporting some new threads. Crevonte, baby.
Those haters can't stand us. Left hand up. Commanders. We fight for RDC. Who are we? The Commanders.
Crevonte.
Jam.
Baby.
Oh, jam.
It's Dallas week, my brother. I know this throughout the years has been one of the games you always look forward to, even when you guys weren't the multiple franchise. Dallas week always meant something, and you guys usually play sometimes your best games of the year. I remember the year on Thanksgiving, you were eating your turkey and your mac and cheese with the yams, and you was enjoying a good ass whooping because y'all was beating them down A-Town, so giving them the D-Town stomp.
Hey, man, Dallas week, it's one of the things where it doesn't matter how good or how bad the team is doing. We get up for Dallas week. That's the all-time rivals. Don't care how good, how bad, we want Dallas. Just same with Ravens, Steelers. Y'all want the Steelers, we want Dallas. But yeah, so it's some different things going on. So it'll be interesting to talk about and dissect this, but Dallas week, this is the week before Thanksgiving, so I'm ready to get it on.
Let's get to it. If you're in the comment section, you're watching this right now, please hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, hit that bell. I know a lot of you are watching Thursday Night Football. We got a good game going on there. Crevonte and I may touch on that quickly as it looks like the Browns and the Steelers, another divisional game, Crevonte, coming down to the wire. It's snowing in Ohio. A lot of crazy things happening already. It's a beautiful scene if you haven't seen the game. But while I say that, let's go to some quick hits. The Commanders/Redskins, the Washington organization, is 30-35, Crevonte, all-time against the Cowboys at home. This is at home. Last season, Washington went 0-2 against Dallas, of course, losing at Northwest Stadium. This will be the earliest that Dallas has traveled to Washington since 2020, Week 14. With the win at home, the Commanders will move to 5-1 at Northwest Stadium. That will be the best record since what year, Crevonte? Give me a quick guess. In the 90s.
91.
I wasn't born yet. I'll say that.
92.
You got it, my brother. Yes, 1992. I was not born yet, ladies and gentlemen. So do the math. With the win, the Commanders will move to 8-4. Best record through 12 games since, Crevonte. Another 90s year. We keeping the 90s theme going.
Oh, 91.
1996.
6.
Yep. With the win, the Commanders would then move to 3-1 in the NFC East for the first time since 2012. Of course, Dan Quinn, former Cowboys defensive coordinator, he brought all his boys with him to Dallas. Name it, players, coaches, staff members as well. Jane Daniels, 2,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. Brian Robinson, 524 yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground. Terry McLaurin, 721 yards and 6 touchdowns. Bobby Wagner leads with 91 tackles. Dante Fowler, 8.5 sacks as well. Crevonte, how do you feel hearing that heading into Dallas week and hearing a little bit about the history of this Washington franchise versus Dallas? No love lost. It's close. 5 games at home difference.
You know what? That sounds about right, because Cowboys had some glory years and so did the Redskins. So it makes sense that it's not that far off. But it's always good to hear and get a refresher of the history between these two rivals. It goes pretty deep. So it feels good to get a refresher. So I'm ready to put another tick in the win column. I don't know about you, man, but I need it. You understand?
Losing 2 in a row, Crevonte. This team is pretty young in a lot of areas, because a lot of them may not be young in age, but I say young in experience or winning per se. So losing 2 in a row, 2 tough games. The Steelers are a playoff team, and so are the Eagles. We can pretty much guarantee that. But what do you think about this team losing 2 in a row? What do you think the mindset is, and what are you looking for to avoid losing 3 in a row against a team you should beat? They're favored by 9.5, Crevonte. Or 10.5, I'm sorry. When was the last time you seen a Commanders like that at 45.5? 45.5 is the over.
Probably 96 too. But man, where to start? So one, I've never seen physically, at least since I've been involved in like the betting world, it be that high. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. So which means this is we should absolutely win this game. I don't think the schedule makers did us any favors putting us back to back Steelers Eagles 5 days apart. So it was a tough. Those were 2 very, very, very tough opponents in a very short span of time. And like you said, we are pretty young and experienced together, and young in some key positions. So again, I'm not surprised that we lost those games, but this is the adversity Jaden Daniels was talking about, and that we all know that a rookie quarterback and a young team goes through. Is on top of this is a culture change too. It's going to be some rough patches, and that was our rough patch. We have to be able to make it through adversity, and this is our way of making it through, pushing through. All right, we took 2 L's. Let's not make it 3. And let's beat our heated rivals, and basically we need to beat them while they're down at this point. So absolutely. And I'll go as far as to say Commanders need to win this game. This is a must win. You know what I'm saying? This is a divisional game, and we dropped the last 2. Can't drop can't drop the last 3. I can't drop another one to make it 3 in a row. And we definitely need this game to keep our hopes alive to even win a division at the end of the year, because we got to keep pace with the Eagles now. So definitely, I would say must win territory.
Agreed. As Philly, hey, no gimmies in the NFL. They got to go to SoFi and then come to Baltimore. I'll take the next 2 weeks. So anything could happen. Philly could win 2-0. They could lose 2 in a row. They could go 1-1. It's the NFL, and we know how the Eagles are fragile. We know, they're hot right now, but if one loss, those fans get upset. We already know they're kicking and screaming about the Sixers, speaking of goofy. So one loss, the fan base goes crazy. Nick Sirianni already wasn't on the strongest of ice. He's already kind of on thin ice. So,
yes.
he starts like this every year, but they don't do it in the playoffs. But not to make this about the Eagles in a sense, if you handle your business, you'll have a chance, because they still got to come to your crib in a few weeks when things kind of settle out.
Yes, absolutely. We got to stay on pace, and like we talked about before, our schedule looks pretty favorable. Now, again, NFL, no gimmies. Can't overlook anybody, because especially divisional opponents, can't overlook them, because that's when you get beat. So we have to be able to pick up these wins and we'll keep a side eye, on the Eagles. Hopefully they'll be able to drop one, and then by the time we play them, we could repay them at Northwest Stadium, so we can possibly, and by the time we play them, it'll possibly be for the division. So at this point, all these are must wins if we want to win the division. Now the playoffs, something different. We win another 3 games, we're pretty much probably in.
Yeah, Crevonte, you said 11 wins. I can see it. Cowboys twice, Titans, Saints, Eagles, Falcons. Hey, man, anything could happen. But let's get into the injuries, Crevonte. We did have some news today. Before I get into the actual list, I do have, it looks like there was, let me go here. Make sure it's the right tab. Yep, looks like we have a possible return of someone who's been out for a while. The 21-day practice window for Javonte Jean-Baptiste has been open, Crevonte. Real quick, if you want to touch on that while I bring up the big list as well. What does this mean? A 7th-round pick, a guy maybe with potential. Couldn't help out your defense, though. You can never have too many guys that can get after the quarter.
No. The interesting thing is, on a football team, especially on the defensive side, you can never have too many guys to rush the passer, and you can never have too many guys that can cover because those things are those are hot commodities, which is why those guys get paid so much on the defensive side, because those are 2 things that's very hard to do, but they can be game changers. But he'll bring some added depth to the defensive line group, and be able to keep some guys fresh when he's able to when he comes back. He's able to practice, get back into shape, get back in the flow of things, and like I said, bring some depth. And one more guy in the rotation. Listen, that means everybody be a little bit fresher. So I'm glad to see him back. It has been a while. It really has been a while. So I'm glad to have him back, and hopefully he can stay healthy for our final stretch.
Let's look at the injury report, Crevonte. I'll let you kind of ramble on what you see. Obviously, no Marshawn Lattimore still at practice. Dante Fowler was limited. Austin Seibert. Hip is limited. Baptiste, as we just talked about, full. Brandon Coleman, full. Ben Sinnott, limited. What do you see here with the injury report? Not as long as last week.
No. And that was because it was a short week. You kind of could tell what the injury report is going to look like from if you play Sunday to when you play Thursday, because it's going to look pretty similar. Hell, you might even add some people. But I'm glad it's not as lengthy. Looks like Lattimore probably isn't going to play, which is not a total loss. I would like to have somebody for CD Lamb, but if he doesn't play, this is still very much a winnable game. Dante Fowler, at this point, just to keep that rotation up and to try to keep guys a little fresh, we would like him to be able to make it. That's limited. Our kicker, Seibert, we are not terrible at kicker right now. So if Seibert needs to take another week, it's okay. Much rather have him, but Gonzalez is not bad. Doris Armstrong, glad to see he's back. He's another guy on the defensive line. Brandon Coleman is a big one. I need he's on the left side. Do you say anything about Cornelius Lucas? Is he on here? No.
I do not see Mr. Lucas. Crevonte, let me just double check. No, Mr. Lucas, no.
Okay, well, that's good because we have him back and Brandon Coleman. So that's both our left tackles. So that's good coming into this game. We already talked about Baptiste. Ben Sinnott, he has potential, but it's really hard for him to get playing time behind Zach Ertz. I probably look to see his role become a little bit bigger probably next year, but he's a good tight end. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. At least the guys that I wanted to hit. Oh, last one, Jordan McGee. Looks like he's going to play. He brings rotation to the linebacking core. So somebody that's young, fiery, to add to Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu. So glad to see he's back. He has a lot of potential out of Temple. So he brings some rotational, some good value to the linebacking core.
Hey, before we get into the keys, I did see something also on X that I wanted to talk about. We talk about playing in Land, we talk about Northwest Stadium. Obviously, there are probably going to be a good amount of Cowboys fans there on this coming week, but I think it was 8. Was it 8 false? Let me pull up the numbers here so I don't misspeak. Let me see. The Commanders' home crowd at Northwest Stadium has caused 8 false starts and 3 delay of games. Crevonte, what do you think about the fans out there in DC getting it done? I'm sure there'll be, like I said, Cowboys fans out there this week and Eagles fans coming up in a couple weeks, but a home field advantage building at Northwest Stadium. Who says they need to move back to DC, right?
Listen, I didn't even know this was a stat because we haven't really had a home field advantage in quite some time. So
Crevonte, the nerds are at work, okay? The nerds are at work. It's a stat for everything. It's a stat for everything.
Word, but that's what's up. I can tell you, I can tell you the nerds wouldn't have no stats in previous years because eight false starts and 3 delayed games. I promise you, because the visiting teams will come into our stadium and dominate all the time. So if anything, the Commanders need to be the ones to watch out for false starts and delay of games, even at home. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But that's what's up. I'm glad that the fan base is coming together and we look like we got a legit home field advantage. So this is good, especially moving forward. We try and get a home playoff game in the playoffs.
Let's get to these keys, Crevonte. I know you want to touch on each position group, so I'm gonna let you do your thing, and I'll interject where need be. But I know you like to tackle each aspect of the game. So, what are your keys to a victory to get the Commanders to 8-4 and drop the Cowboys to 3-8?
So, I usually have a saying when we talking about goofies or when we do game ball, not game ball, and I start low and high. But in this case, I guess I'll start in and work my way out. So we're talking about the offense first. So I'm gonna go for offensive line, then I work my way out. So offensive line, you got to protect Jaden Daniels. That's number one. Got to protect Jaden Daniels. The mini bye does help. He get a little bit healthier, rehab a little bit on that in that rib injury for him, and that's number one, protecting him. Number two, this one I'll mix in. I guess I'm kind of mixing a little bit everybody. This is the offensive line and the running backs. Gotta get the running game going. Absolutely have to get the running game going. Run the ball. You're making life easier for Jaden Daniels that he could get back to how he looked before the Steelers game or just before the rib injury. Hopefully he get back to that Jaden Daniels sooner rather than later. But protecting him in the passing game and in the running game, being able to continue to punch the Cowboys in the mouth, because it seems like everybody's been able to do it. Why can't we? Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler. Well, Austin Eckler has been having an amazing, really good production in the past 2 games. In the past 2 games, and that's a great sign because he's good at catching the ball out the backfield, and he's good with running when he needs to. But if Brian Robinson could be there, that could be, a little thunder and lightning. So that'll be good. And we go to the wide receivers. Somebody besides Terry. I need somebody. I need somebody to step up besides Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's been very consistent. I need somebody besides Terry McLaurin because he's been stepping up very consistent. He's going to have some good stats. When
Noah Brown, Crevonte. It's got to be Noah Brown. If not Ertz, maybe. One of those two.
I would love, and I mean from the wide receivers, because Zach Ertz has been, pretty consistent as well too. But I'm talking just wide receivers. Noah Brown, it was him. It has been him for a while, but he's a little inconsistent. Really ain't heard much from him since the Maryland Miracle. Is that what we call it? Maryland Miracle? Miracle Landover? I don't know. But
Hail Mary, Hail. Like
hail.
hail to the hail to the hell yeah. That's why I usually put in the if you look at the poll, it's hell yeah. There you go.
Absolutely. Love it. But anyway, haven't seen him since then. So it'll be good that he has a legit showing. Because we need somebody to compliment Terry outside of Zach Ertz. And of course, Jaden Daniels, quarterback. Listen, just get back to how you play ball. Get back to how you play ball. We seen the accuracy the first six, 7, whatever games or so. Amazing. He had some mind-blowing stats. With that accuracy gets to where it's supposed to be, then his offense could start rolling, because in the past 2 weeks, he's missed some throws and also coupled that with some drops. Offense had their own drive killers with the penalties and all that. So him getting back to his accuracy, and hopefully he can get over this injury, because it seems to be hindering him. But hopefully this bye week helps, and he's free to play how he used to play, and mix in some runs here and there. So I'm cool with that. Cliff Kingsbury, I don't always talk about coaches, but Cliff Kingsbury, there has been some woes with him in pretty much his whole coaching history with the second half of the year. I don't know what it is. It seems like the wheels fall off, or maybe he gets figured out. I'm not sure what it is, but we can't let that happen. Cannot let that happen. Now with Jaden Daniels and his progression and all that, we can't allow that to happen. So Cliff Kingsbury, get back on your game with the play calling and knowing your personnel. I think both left tackles being back really, really, really helps. So that's pretty much the offense. Oh, and of course, that Zach Ertz tight end, Zach Ertz, same old security blanket. That's all we need from you. So that's the offense side of the ball. If I switch to defense, the defensive line looks like we're getting some guys back healthy. Fowler coming back. Hey, Tyler Badass. Hey, my man. Happy birthday, young man. Definitely gonna need him as well on that offensive line. But if we switch to defensive line, it's good that we're having some guys back to go into the rotation, so people are not as winded and as tired throughout the game. John Baptiste coming back in, and Dante Fowler. That's some good much needed reinforcements. Get after Cooper Rush, Trey Lance. I don't care who they put back there. Get after him. I absolutely have to get after him, because see, one thing that I've noticed, well, not even that I've just noticed, because it's pretty obvious, the Cowboys don't have a running game. It's not, they don't have much of a running game to speak of, and we need to keep it that way. As defensive line, need to keep it that way. So we stop whatever run game. If they do try to run the ball, shut it down. And if they don't, which they probably won't, because it's not that much, they got an old aging Ezekiel Elliott. So I don't think it's going to be much of a run game. So we have to get out the quarterback. Get after the quarterback. Make sure he's not comfortable, because this is not the time to have a career day. Cooper Rush. This is not the time. Don't need none of that. So the D-line need to keep the offensive line in check and be able to put pressure on Cooper Rush on a consistent basis. Go to the linebacking core. Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu. Frankie's an animal. Frankie Louvu is an absolute animal. Love the game that he's been playing. That's what we need. Him along the D-line, because he'll probably be rushing a passer more often. So between him and the D-line, just keeping the pressure on and making sure they never get comfortable. Maybe get a couple sacks, maybe a forced fumble. Who knows? Because that's what we need. Bobby Wagner, I think Jeremy Chin actually leads the league, and leads the team in tackles, if I'm not mistaken. But Bobby Wagner's for sure number 2. He's been very, very, very consistent. He's a little long in the tooth, but he's very consistent. I love us being solidified in linebacking core. Like, that's one of my favorite position groups on this team, because we got a man in Frankie Louvu that plays with his head on fire, and Bobby Wagner that's as consistent as solid as it comes. Hopefully the young boy McGee is able to come in and be able to relieve Bobby Wagner from time to time. And lastly, the secondary. Very concerning. I'm very concerned. I'm always concerned. Marshawn Lattimore looks like he's not going to play, but they only have CeeDee Lamb. It's pretty much CeeDee Lamb. That's it. So it should be nothing to bottle up CeeDee Lamb. We can't be just like Cooper Rush, keeping pressure on him, not letting him get comfortable. We can't let him and the CeeDee Lamb connection go. That cannot happen. Keep CeeDee Lamb in check. Double him. I don't care. He can't get off, because he gets off, we have a problem. Okay. Houston, I would say Houston. Well, like I said, in this case, Dallas, we have a problem. So keeping CeeDee Lamb bottled up, whether it's St. Juice or Mike, just keeping them bottled up. And if you gotta double them, whatever, I'm fine. Whatever. Just make sure he don't get off. And he hasn't been getting off, so this is good. It looks like their offense is already out of sync. Let's continue to help them be out of sync and not help them make it a long day at Northwest Stadium. So that's offense, defense, special teams. We talk about special teams all the time. A play or two here, a play or two there. It can change the outcome of a game. It can change momentum. Gonzalez has been pretty good. So that's good in the kicking game. And of course, Tressway, one of the best punters in the league. The way he's able to flip the field position is amazing. We need that consistency. And I think we'll be good on that front. And as an overall, got to limit the turnovers. We do pretty well with that. You don't give up the ball. You give yourself more opportunities to score and have positive things happen for the offense. And of course, on the defensive side, cause some turnovers. Cause turnover or two. Let's put this game out of reach midway through the second quarter, and let's put this thing in cruise control. Maybe Jaden Daniels don't even have to play the fourth quarter. That's the game. That's the type of game I want to see. Jaden Daniels goes out halfway through the third quarter or the fourth quarter, and it is because of cruising. Put Marcus Mariota in, Brian Robinson sit down. All our guys can sit down, and we use it as an extra rest. So those are my keys to the game as far as position groups are concerned. Oh, one last thing. Dan Quinn, welcome. Welcome your team to the field. It's probably gonna be a little something extra for him. He's gonna want to prove a thing or two, and this is the time. I'm sure everybody knows that. Everybody is aware where he came from, what he's done for that defense, because they haven't looked the same since. So let's show the Cowboys what they're missing out on for Dan Quinn.
So I guess we can get right into your prediction, Crevonte. Are you feeling that possibly a blowout? Do you think they could possibly have some hammer time down in DC?
Yeah.
Finish him, Daddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm hoping so. Because it looks like since Dak's been out, they have been getting shellacked. They've been getting people been beating their drums for quite some time now. And we need to follow suit. Like the game against the Eagles, that 34-6, we need to have a game similar to that, like a 35-13 game, something like that, where it's well out of reach into the third quarter, and some of our guys that need some rest can get some extra rest. So it should be a blowout. Vegas thinks it's a blowout because 10.5. I'm thinking about putting a little something on it myself. And I hate double-digit point spreads, but we should. This team is out of sync. And offensively, they out of sync, and defensively, they lost Dan Quinn. So they took a few steps back. So there should be no reason why we go ahead and make we should win significantly.
So you feeling like they covered the 10.5? Are we getting an over-under game? They putting up, 40 points on them, damn near, Crevonte? You want a Detroit-Jacksonville situation?
Sure. Hey, let's put a 40 burger. And listen, I gotta feel better about I need to feel better about my offense moving forward. This is a bounce back game. We got to get right. This is time to cross your T's, dot your I's, and bring back the potential that we saw in those first several weeks. We definitely need to get into the 30s. If we get into the 40s, that would be amazing. And as long as Dallas shouldn't get into the 20s, that's how this goes. Like, we should get into the 30s, high 30s to the 40s. Dallas should not reach. They should stay in the teens at this point. And if less, by all means, we get a shout out, that'd be amazing. But we should be in the high 30s to 40s. Yep. Bye.
My back.
Yes. Yes. I think. I hear you. It sounds like about. Is it about?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's got NFL game or Crevonte. I'm talking to you. I'm hit the numbers up. It's just, yeah. It's all interference, I guess. I don't know. Yes. So Crevonte sees the big win in DC. Thinks they cover. I wouldn't be mad if they did either. Crevonte's gonna put a couple dollars on it. Any other things to take away for this game, or anything you're looking for this weekend? Because I do got a few other things for you. But any final thoughts on that?
Dallas week is always a big week, and I'm sure Dan Quinn, as fired up as we know he gets, I'm sure he feels the energy in the building, and especially after 2 losses, I think he's going to lead the charge, and I think we might jump on him early, which would be great. So Dan Quinn's going to have something to prove. Cliff Kingsbury should have something to prove, and Jaden Daniels, I'm sure, is going to have something to prove. So put it all together, we should have a good Dallas week.
So, real quick, Crevonte, I do want to ask let me get the right information up here. We have a big time game going on right now as the Browns and Steelers are locked in a 1-point game. Actually, Cleveland has the ball as Thursday Night Football is on Prime, obviously. 2-minute warning, Jameis Winston looking to beat the Steelers. This could be possibly beating the Ravens and Steelers. I think they are at the 24 as I pull it up here on the screen here. It is, like I said, snowing in Cleveland as well. It's a possible upset. I mean, I think this was a pretty heavy spread as well.
I don't like Tomlin or the Steelers as favorites. It's hard to take them and be like, yeah, they're going to cover, because one, Tomlin and the Steelers are really good at covering when they're the underdogs. When they're expected to win, excuse me, it ends up being like this because they have no business going back and forth with Cleveland like that. But it is a divisional game, so and it's AFC North, so it's pretty much what's expected for a divisional game. But Steelers are significantly better than the Browns, so it really shouldn't be this close. But how divisional games go. But 3.5, pretty much all the games have be about field goals, which means you have to win by more than a field goal, because I think it was 3.5. So, which meant they would have had to win by more. And I feel like that's a stretch for a Steelers team that is not efficient in scoring like that. So needing them to put up points is not typically good. But the Browns are a sneaky team. They did sneak one past the Ravens. So I'm not surprised that they're in this position, but got to be careful with the Steelers, and be careful with the Steelers when they're favored by more than a field goal.
Say, fucking real quick, Crevonte, I do have a couple college football nuggets for you. Julian Juju Lewis committing to Colorado to play with Dion. I know you heard the news today. Number 2 quarterback in the class, so they go from Shador to the number 2 quarterback in the class, flipping from USC, and also number 1 QB flips from LSU to Michigan. So how do you feel about this whole free agency, as mentioned, with the whole transfer portal? Bryce Underwood, that's his name. Bryce Underwood, number 1 quarterback, that's his name.
Deion Sanders, listen, it looks like I know there's a lot of speculation going on about what his future looks like in Colorado. It's looking like at the very least he'll be there next year. Because recruiting your quarterback, I mean, Deion knows just like anybody else that's into football. You ain't got a quarterback, you ain't got nothing. So he knows Shador Sanders, this is it. He knows for his son, this is it. He's going to the NFL. You need his replacement, and you need to find him sooner rather than later. And this is a good start, good step in the right direction. As far as the brother flipping LSU to Michigan, same thing. You see what happens when Jim Harbaugh, you need one of two things. You need the guy that can really run a program like a Jim Harbaugh, and or Deion Primetime Sanders, and a quarterback. That's what you need. Michigan loses pretty much their top quarterback and Jim Harbaugh. You see what has happened. But that is no more quarterback. Pretty big flip. Looks like Michigan backed up the Brinks truck, huh?
Yes, and real quick, Crevonte, the Ohio State hosts undefeated Indiana this weekend. How you feel about that?
Man, this is the one thing that I do like about everybody like moving about and switching conferences and stuff. The matchups. We get pretty good matchups throughout the year. So that's good and it's fun. Oh, looks like the Browns scored. Oh boy. There were good matchups throughout the year. Indiana is nothing to sneeze at, nothing to look down or turn your nose up at. Ohio State better be careful if they want to get a top seed in this 12 team race. They probably won't get the top seed, but a top 3 seed would be pretty all right.
As Crevonte mentioned, Cleveland did just score. Looks like Nick Chubb touchdown. So good to see Nick Chubb still getting it done. This will be good for the Ravens. That would move the Steelers to 8-3, and Cleveland's 3 wins. 2 of them, one against the Ravens, one against the Steelers. So there you go. There, NFL can't predict it. I'm sure.
Ain't that something? This is why you don't underestimate nobody, especially divisional opponents. Look at this mess. 3 wins.
I think the Browns had won like 4 out of the last 6 in Cleveland or something like that too, going in. So there you go.
Okay.
Well, Crevonte, we got a 1 p.m. kickoff. Get in, get out. So we will be live right after the game on Sunday afternoon. You want to let the people know what they can expect? Watch the Commanders post-game show.
You can expect a live, raw reaction from me, whether it be good, bad, or in the middle. We was able to see the Bears, which was my crazy reaction. That's when we started this whole thing. And then you'll get games like the Steelers and the Eagles, where it's like, let one slip away. So that's what you get. You'll get the raw and the first reaction, real-time reaction. And Byron will guide me in the right direction as far as, you know, the questions keep me on track, because I could go off a little bit, you know what I'm saying, depending on how good or how great it or how bad it went. I could go off, but Byron, he'll let me go for a little bit, but he'll keep me, you know, keep me in line as far as where we are going. And yeah, it's going to be fun, and it'll be immediately after the game. So look out for more previews, look out for more post games for the Commanders, for the Ravens. We do a really good job at covering our local teams, and continue to give you guys sports how you want it when you need it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We're live Sunday, immediately following Commanders, Cowboys. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell. Let us know how you're feeling down in the comment section. If you're watching this later, leave a comment in here. Helps us out tremendously. Emoji, your prediction for the game, keys, key players. If you're rooting for the Cowboys, why are you a Cowboys fan? When are you guys ever going to get it done? Will Jerry ever get out the way? Whatever you want to say in the comment section. Anything you want to see from us Commanders-wise, let us know. Crevonte will be by my side. We'll be live after the game. We got a Ravens preview coming some point this weekend, as we'll be live Monday for that game, mixed in with some Flex Zone festivities, as always. So we'll be on for a good 3 hours, folks. So get it all in. We'll do it. Give it to you how you want it when you need it. Live tomorrow. I probably won't be on, but we'll be live. And then Saturday, AEW Full Gear. Maryland plays Villanova. You got a preview of that. Maryland football, last home game. Got a preview for that. And yeah, Commanders post game on Sunday. Can't wait to see how they bounce back. Hopefully, you get back in the win column. For Crevonte, God's favorite host, thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and let us be the first to wish you a happy Friday. We made it through another week with the Flex Zone. Only place, Crevonte, giving sports how you want it.
When you need it.
Keep marching on as the race to the playoffs continues as we head into the season of thanks. Flex Zone Podcast for Crevonte, the co-creator of this podcast and voice of reason. God's favorite host, associate producer. We out, y'all. Commanders, Cowboys. We'll see you after the game for the post-game show right on the Flex Zone Podcast. Peace.
Left hand up. Commanders. We fight for RDC.